Jim Brooks is here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Jim?
I'm good.
How I mean, that seems like you've downgraded since you heard about Kawhi Leonard and Paul George coming, right?
It's still settling in. By the way, I love that you named the Joan of Arc of the NBA. That Sterling's mistress, there should be a statue to her.
Yes, it does start, right?
It'd be a great statue. She's holding up a recording device and changing the face of basketball.
I don't know. Would Staples put her a statue of V. Stiviano? Is that who that is?
V. Stiviano.
Would they put right next to Kareem? Or I don't know if that fits, Jim. I don't know if that fits, but. I want to give you what can you believe it? I mean, give voice to what Clipper fans.
When it came over, I was texting my son about earthquake preparations,
okay.
and then it came across the screen, and everybody was saying the Lakers. Everybody was saying it, and came across the screen that Kawhi has decided to go with the Los Angeles, and I turned away. I just didn't want to see the Lakers come up, and then basketball was changed.
It's a good way to put it. Basketball was changed. I mean, because how long have you been a season ticket holder, Jim?
From the moment they came to Los Angeles, from the grimmest of days.
From San Diego, when they came up from the San Diego Clipperdom?
Yeah, I heard that they were moving, and I pulled over and ordered season tickets.
No kidding. Why did you never get into the Lakers? Why did that happen?
Because I was into them at that. I don't know how to explain it. If you have a certain kind of dark soul, the Lakers aren't for you. The glitz just contrast with you too much.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, Jim. I mean, you got an Academy Award in the trophy case. I know that hadn't happened yet by the time that the Clippers arrived, but it never coming from New York City. You never bought into the Lakers in a way that you bought into the Clippers. Is that how?
No, and it was perverse. And I'm telling you, the years that you went through, and there's absolutely no exaggeration, somebody who you didn't know well, you'd get into a conversation, they'd say, you'd talk sports, and they'd say, are you a Lakers fan? And you'd say Clippers, and they'd laugh. And every time, but they'd laugh, and I'd always resent the laugh, and I'd look at them with resentment, and they'd look at me about what the hell am I resenting? And there were years like that.
So what was the lowest of the low, Jim, before we get to the highest of the highs?
I think that the early days in the sports arena where there were very few people there, and I'm telling you, I'm haunted by the echo of the sound of the basketball with no crowd there at all, like you were watching a practice. I think that was, those early days were low. The injuries were terrible. So many key injuries. I started to wonder if something was wrong with the floor. I really started to think there was something they should find. And then when we had a good team, we had a bad locker room, and then recently, the last 2 years have been joyous because of what they were building.
No, I know Jim Brooks, the Academy Award-winning director, producer, writer here on the Rich Eisen Show. I know so many Clipper fans loved the team last year because nobody expected it, and they came together, and there was so much to root for. And now, what does it feel like to be part of here in Los Angeles? A hot ticket with an owner and a front office and a coach that knows exactly what the hell they're doing, Jim.
A great owner, like an amazing front office. That when you think of the trades they made, when you think of how we recovered from Chris Paul leaving, when Blake got traded, when we were trading our best players almost seriously, when Tobias got traded, and what we got for it and how they built it. It's just it's. And everybody loved the team last year. You could not love them. Doc was, I'm sure, being absolutely sincere, the most fun he's ever had coaching, because they're gritty teamwork, chemistry, everything.
Right, and now here they are again. It's really amazing how hot a ticket that they are. Have you had people call you up and ask, to be a plus one that you haven't heard from yet in a long time, Jim?
No. It's going to happen. A lot of the Simpsons staff goes. I sort of share my seats with the Simpsons staff. So the whole work situation is Clippers fans.
Well, I know you got a table read coming up. I mean, for the latest Simpsons episode, do you expect to get people coming up to you and saying for the first time, I want to go to a Clipper game? I assume that?
No, it's been celebratory. That show is deep in Clippers fans.
Isn't that amazing?
And what I'm hoping happens now, because is that usually when you go to a Clipper home game, a fifth to almost half a crowd is rooting for the other team, and I'm hoping that no longer happens.
So can we get? Are we going to get Kawhi on the Simpsons, Jim? We're going to get Kawhi on? What do you think?
Open invitation. I mean, but we can kill the reticence rumor all at once.
Right, exactly. You put him on the Simpsons and put Kawhi with. I mean, what would be? I mean, let's just spitball it right now. What would be just in your mind the perfect foil for? Would it be Homer? Who would it be? Something from Hank Azaria's oeuvre?
I think we could serve him. I think we could serve him well. We've had players on before, and we've had some come by the reeds.
Is that right? So who's the best one that you've had on? The one that you thought this guy or gal has got the best chops that's been on The Simpsons?
I mean, I think everybody ends up coming through because of the nature of how we record it.
Right.
It gets pretty loose. I think that's generally true of our guest stars. But what do you think? What do you think this year of the team? Because I can name like 7 teams in the Western Division where their fans have a right to expect a good season.
Okay, let's go through it then, Jim. Jim Brooks here on the Rich Eisen Show. I like what Utah's done, and I like what Portland's done. Nobody's talking about them because everybody's talking about what's going on here in Los Angeles. Those are the teams I'd be most concerned about. For real. And the Rockets, that they're going to run it back, and they're the ones that won't have to gel and figure out and walk through. I mean, the Blazers essentially added Whiteside, and then you've got the Rockets can just
and you haven't
run
said
it
Denver
back.
Yet.
No, and Denver can run it back too. I mean, it is loaded. But the fact that you, as a Clipper fan, have a team that's as good as anybody else, and you've got the most red-hot player.
With a culture we hope doesn't change. That's the big thing, a gritty, hard-fighting, physical team. And I think we'll retain that culture.
For sure. Did you see that Kawhi signed for 2 years plus 1? Did you see that, Jim?
But players option in the 3rd year.
Correct, player option. So it's basically it's a 2-year deal. Or any concern on that front?
I think this is obviously what the team gave up, and this is very much about the present. There is no next year. I mean, that's clear, isn't it? I mean, this is what everything's been built for, the coming seasons.
Yeah. Hey, before I let you go, when you mentioned earlier that you would be in conversation with people, and you mentioned Clipper fans and Laker fans would laugh at you. Was Nicholson ever one of those, Jim, with you?
You know something. He always he was one of my first phone calls. I invited him to a Clippers-Lakers game when it's Clippers are the home team.
Yes.
And he's always been gentle with me. I mean, even those years when his team is just great, he was always sweet. He was always encouraging.
And this time around?
I mean, it's great. This is a great year for basketball coming up.
Okay.
I mean, everybody says the same thing. Everybody says, "I can't wait." That's it. It's like everybody. Everybody says anybody but Trump. Everybody says, "I can't wait for the basketball season."
Before I let you go, just indulge me with your best Andy Kaufman story that you have from your days at Taxi. Just meeting him.
Andy Kaufman, who brought back professional wrestling. I mean, he did single-handedly do it, which people might forget. And he went into a wrestling match, and then it became front page news when he was on Taxi that he had been injured and he was in traction. And then I saw the video, and we slowed down the video, and it was obvious that he had, almost with a stuntman's ability, that it had been a fake blow to him and a fake injury. And I was pissed off. And I called him in the hospital where he was still carrying the thing as far as he could carry it. And I said, you know what it's like to really feel that you've been seriously hurt. He says, you know what it's like to be in traction when you're not? Because he went into traction.
So he went into fake traction to try and sell what he was trying to...
No, he went into real traction over a fake injury.
He went into real traction to try and sell the fact that he was fake injured.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, when you've got time, I'd love to have you here in studio. Tell more stories like that. I'd love to just go down that rabbit hole with you. And congrats on getting your Clippers up to speed here.
Okay, we'll do it.
You got
Take
it.
care.
You got it. That's James L. Brooks, Jim Brooks, at Canyon Jim. You want to follow him.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.